the Righteously Ratchet, Sacredly Secular show. Today we continue on the series, The Drama of Those Left Behind.
Thank you for joining again. Now, you may not be a Seventh-day Adventist or you may not be Christian, but this is something that is sovereign in terms of those who believe in God. And for those who don't believe in God, this is going to be an opportunity for you to understand those who talk about the significance of the seventh day or preach about the seventh day. Now, I have come across many Seventh-day Adventists who don't really know the importance of the seventh day, but identify by it. Now, here are some examples. Many think it's about the day of going to gather at the church building and observing the traditions of our forefathers to honor the resting of God after creation, to go through these ritual practices. Others think usually the capitalist workaholics, the employees and the guys that love to make a lot of money. It's more about not going for work and not being busy around. More like it's a day of doing God's work, probably because they are guilty maybe about not working for God in their 5 other days. Another group think it's a holy day to honor God or to worship God than Sunday or Friday. For those who meet on Friday or Sunday, it's a more holier day. And in doing so, by worshiping on Sunday or Friday or all these other days, they are worshiping the sun god for those who worship on Sunday. And for those who meet on any other day of the week, they're worshiping other Roman or Greek or ancient demigods, of which the weekdays were named Sunday and Thursday for maybe third day and Norwegian beliefs. So it's almost like idolatry for meeting on other days, that this day is holy. It's a day of doing good things. It's a day of doing God's work. Again, it's somewhat associated to people who spend the rest of their 5 days or 6 days of their week doing something that is they don't feel like is God's work. So this particular day, it's a holy day that they need to do good to people. They need to go and visit the poor, those in hospital, and all those kind of things. Now, I hate to break it down to you, but the importance of the seventh day has nothing to do with any of these things. As we're saying, for those who think it's a holy day, are most likely guilty about not doing God's work on these particular other days. And it also works for Sunday going Christians and believers, because there are people who feel like Sunday is a holy day, play holy music, listen to sermons and tune into the holy channels, Instead, it's about a salvation gospel or redemption good news, if you like, or healing holy message to all creation. Saving gospel. Salvation comes with the word saving, saving you. Gospel means good news, or a redemption good news. It's coming from redeeming, the word redeeming. Or as I put it in a better way to break it down, maybe a healing holy message to all creation. That's what the seventh day is. Now, to understand this, let's go back to the first moments of creation, because it's very vital to understand why this day was special before we can actually appreciate it. From the records of the Genesis, which is the beginning, we see that the world we know today was without form, like an open canvas, but unlike a one-dimension painting, canvas. For those who may not understand canvas, we're looking at an empty room without walls, an empty dark room that has no walls, no door, no window, no roof, a 3D space in other language. My 3D artist friends who make us cartoons understand this very well better. The world was without form and it was void. Imagine an empty room without walls, without a door, without a window, without a roof, a very dark empty room. That's what a 3D space looks like. The world was without form and it was void. It had no window. Now, I know, like you, it's very unattractive to the mind. I know, like you're probably quickly trying to add an object like maybe water or wind or something, a little bit of light, maybe some stars somewhere. No, completely empty, dark room without a single item, 360 degrees in every view that you look. No floor. flow. I forgot the flow. So the world was void. It's almost like when you close your eyes in the dark and you try to look. That's a better description. Emptiness, that void. And that's how the world was before everything we now know. Before everything. No sounds, no voices. And then God made the beautiful twinkling stars. Imagine that. The less light for the darkness, to preserve the darkness. He says he created a lesser light to rule the dark, almost to preserve the darkness, but to provide light. And then the sun, he created the sun, the greater light to shine up the day, to light up the day. And then he created all the beautiful grasses, not just the ones common on your lawn, the commercial common grass. There's hundreds of, maybe hundreds. Let me not say 1,000 because I've not yet seen 1,000. And they have different textures and they have different appearances. And he created all those beautiful grasses. And then he made hundreds types of flowers, beautiful flowers, the yellow, the green, the blue, the purple. He added color to this thing, and 1,000 different types of plants, beautifying this empty 3D space with the clouds, the blue skies, and the beautiful trees and plants, all the juicy, tasty, creamy, savory, sweet fruits, thousands of them, a lot of people only know 50, usually not tasty fruits sitting in the supermarket. There's about 500 plus, which is close to 1,000 types of fruits. And they were juicy and tasty because they were well hydrated. The plants were well watered, and then he made the earth produce different types of all that beauty of plants and flowers and all the colors of, the forest, the tranquility. He created that into the 3D empty space that was without anything, and all the color just exploded, and the fruit was ripening on the tree, no spread chemicals for long shelf life, no weeds existed, no herbicides, no pesticides, most of the foods we eat today you always test a bit of some odd chemicals that are not supposed to be there, because they spread the plant to kill some herbs, to kill some weeds or something. There was no plowing, no tilling, because everyone's food, today is 65% grasses. There was not that. There was diversity, no monocropping, and so no chemicals, no pesticides, no herbicides, no spraying fruits for long shelf life. There was beauty, and every seed turned into a plant, and there was abundance, of foods. No storms also, because the weather was living in harmony with mist and fog, no weaponized weather modification, fake clouds, going in one direction as you seed the clouds. It was all cylindrical, or beauty, the tranquility of nature was added to that empty 3D space. He made the bees of many different types of colors and shapes and pollinated the fields, the flowers, and there was a lot of bountifulness of flowers. There's birds of many different beautiful sounds and shapes and all that beauty. He created the camels, the rabbits, the leopards, the spiders, and the worms in the ground, or doing their purpose, or working in harmony. Yes, thousands of unique and beautiful animals that you would safari your current lifetime, to experience each one of those animals intimately. There were a lot of beautiful creatures created. And yes, the lions were not eating people or other animals to survive. The bears were not attacking every human they see. Yes, that propaganda was not invented at that time. It was all beauty, all harmony, all peace, working together, fulfilling all the purpose, all the breathtaking landscapes, rainfall and snow and the fog coming in to water the ground, and the beauty of spring, autumn, and all that beauty was created in there. And that is what we need to understand, when we are trying to understand the importance of the seventh day. That before the seventh day, the days before, God created beauty. And some people would say, I don't know if it's egotistic or narcissistic, that God kept on saying to himself, look at what I made. It is good. He keeps telling himself that what he's done is good. I just had to put that one out. Yeah, but he created beauty, really beauty. And the importance of the seventh day was to create a memorial, a moment of gratitude for all this beauty working in togetherness and perfect intimate harmony of life. It was about that memorial that God rested on the seventh day after all these works of creation, and he looked and said, wow, this is beautiful. Now he did not tell Adam, you should sit down and mesmerize on the creation. Adam had no work. Adam didn't need to till the ground. There were no weeds, because there was nothing that fell out of place. Everything was in harmony. Everything was working in intimacy, working together. No monocropping. There was abundance everywhere. No pain. There was peace, because everything existed in its purpose. That was the importance of the seventh day. It was to create a memorial of the other days, the things that happened on the other days, which was the creation of beauty. Now, the importance of the seventh day is that it was beautiful. Now, if someone feels hopeless today, you wake up in the morning and you're still in bed because, where to start. That's how the world feels today. You wake up and you're like, it's like you need math on everything. How to solve this, how to solve that, how to solve. God in the seventh day is preaching a gospel to you that the world I created for you to come into was created perfect. It didn't need no formula. It didn't need no solving. It was created beautiful, working harmoniously together. You don't have to wake up and start thinking about, how am I gonna take care of my security? My security is kind of porous. My food, we don't have no food today. There was abundance of food, fatty foods, protein-rich foods, vitamin-rich foods, mineral-rich foods, and well-balanced, because everything was working in its perfect harmony, and the land watered itself, the earth watered itself. Everything was created in harmony. There was no need to water the ground. Adam and Eve didn't need to till the ground. There was no monocropping. There was no need for herbicides, pesticides. All the animals and insects had something to eat. That's what happens when there's abundance. There were flowers to pollinate. They didn't need wasps. Didn't need to eat your fruit. No, there was abundance of flowers. Try and put some flowers in the garden. In your garden. There was abundance. There was peace between the animals because there was abundance of food. That's what happens when you give people food. There is abundance of peace, and everything was existing in the purpose. And so that's the importance of the seventh day. That was the significance of it, to create a memorial of what had happened on the previous days. And this memorial came, God did not tell Adam to remember the seventh day. He told his descendants to remember the seventh day because it was important for his descendants to remember the seventh day because the world changed. Adam didn't need to remember the seventh day. Adam didn't need to remember the seventh day. But God told his Eve's descendants, to remember the seventh day because it was important for them to have that that memorial of gratitude that all things were created beautiful, working in togetherness, that there was perfection, and they were created to come into a world where everything existed in harmony, in an intimate harmony of life. The seventh day is a day of being nomadic, to experience God's mind. That's why travel is good. People talk about, I've traveled to 66 continents, and I've traveled to ABC, 100 countries. And when you listen to their travel stories, when you see their travel videos, if they did take any videos, they pretty much did not travel. And I'm saying this because travel is nice because you experience God's mind. You experience the fact that God created the world beautiful for you to come into. It was all perfect. You didn't need to do anything. So the seventh day is a day of being nomadic, appreciating God's amazing perfect creation. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of that today. And it all goes back to Noah's time. But it's a day of appreciating God's amazing perfect creation. A memorial of naturalism. A memorial of naturalism. Of course, today, the word natural has been distorted to mean so many different unnatural things. But the seventh day is a day of realizing that humanity have lost our way. And I'm going to say our way. That we humanity have lost our way. That's what the day is about. It's about realizing now. That's why I said God told the descendants of Adam to remember the seventh day. Adam didn't need to remember the seventh day because the world was beautiful. But when man fell, the seventh day's memorial significance came into play. That humanity have lost our way. We have lost our way. I can just talk for anybody. I'm talking for all of us. And have destroyed the most of this beauty in the pursuit to pridefully create our own definition of beauty. We're destroying everything because we're pridefully trying to be God. But God made us in His image. He made us beautiful, but we're trying to be God. And in trying to be God, we destroy the very fabric of harmony, the very fabric of togetherness between us and God, and therefore we destroy all of the entirety of existence because we're not moving by togetherness. We distort everything. It's a day of remembering that it was once perfect before the genetic modifications, before the botching of all creation was introduced by the fallen ones who were quarantined during the great flood, the flood of Noah, and are now free in this last age. Yes, we are in the last age. That everything was beautiful before we started genetically modifying everything, altering everything to purposes that don't, serve the greater good. I just want to try out to distort this particle, this molecule, this person to see what happens. Reason? I just want to see. Before we started pridefully pursuing to create our own definition of beauty. The seventh day is a salvation gospel. It's a gospel to tell us that we have lost our way. It's a redemption good news also. That it was once beautiful. It all worked for the greater good, the greater happiness. It was perfect before the days of destruction, before the days of genetic modification, weather modification, experimental botching of creation, destroying the fabric of reality just so because you can. It's a healing, holy message to all creation that God made the world perfect for you to come into, for you to enjoy, for you to replenish, for you to cherish. I can keep rhyming like that. He did not intend you to till the ground with sweat for food. He did not intend for you to build factories to clothe yourself because we've destroyed the weather patterns. Or animals stuck in the Hunger Games that we will eat you to eat, or animals stuck in the Hunger Games that will eat you to stay alive. There was peace on the earth. That's the importance of the seventh day. It's not about going to the church building and being a holy person for a day, or doing God's work. It's not about sun god worship or Thor day worshippers or Saturday worshippers or something. It's about the redemption gospel that once upon a time it was all perfect. It was all perfect. You didn't need to strive to exist. It was all good. And therefore it brings our attention to the days of being fallen, that we've lost our way. And it also brings us to the attention of Jesus, God becoming a man, to remind us of these things. And I'm a line of Jesus. I'm 2.0 of Jesus, still reminding us that it was once perfect. Jesus came to take us back into the Garden of Eden, to restore us into Eden. Let's have Eden on earth again. Happy 7th day to you all. Thank you for joining in on this one. Thank you for joining.